I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 million every week. I wanna be a billionaire. I ain't getting no sleep till I see $1 billion every week. I wanna be a billionaire. Billionaire. I wanna be a billionaire. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Sleep is for Billionaires, the podcast. I am your host, Johnny Vegas. Now today, I got a special guest on my show. This man is a producer and an artist, and we're going to have that conversation amongst more topics to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Hassan. How you doing, my brother?
Good, bro. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sorry for the fumble in the beginning, man. I had too much caffeine today, man. I mean, I'm all over the place. But yeah, bro, now I wanted to bring you on the show. I actually attended your show this weekend, and I want to say congratulations. You know, that was inspiring, man. You know what I'm saying? To see an artist, you know, coming up, displaying his music in that form. You know, some people kind of just, you know, share their music to their homeboys or pass out CDs, but you actually had a nice little auditorium situation where you invited people, you had the big screen in the back showing the video and the mini movie, playing tracks one by one, you know, letting people get a feel and really engaging with the audience, trying to get their feedback. So that was pretty dope. And I gave you some feedback of mine as well, you know what I'm saying? I was engaged at the moment. I ain't even gonna lie, when I was invited to that place, I was under the impression that it was a Dame Dash situation. So I'm like, I bet I'm about to go meet Dame, about to meet Kanye. I heard it's his birthday. Oh man, it's about to be lit. And I get there and not there. So I was a little disappointed. But when I heard your music and I saw the way you were engaging with the audience, I became, you know, a little of a fan. I was like, okay, because at first I wanted to leave. I was like, yo, man, this is why they're not here. But then when I saw you doing your thing, I was like, okay, this is kind of ill. And then I saw the movie, and then I was like, okay. I was intrigued. You know what I'm saying? Now I feel like my time wasn't wasted. So congratulations on that, man.
I'm happy with it. Thank you.
No doubt, man. But the conversation I want to get people to get to know you and your story. Before we get to how you working with Dame and Kanye, I want to go from the beginning, man. Where you originally from?
Yeah, so I'm from Florida.
Where in Florida?
Like Tampa.
Tampa? Okay, that's my hood right there, 813.
Yeah, I was right under the 580 bridge.
Okay. Many accidents on that bridge.
Yeah.
Man. Especially after the club.
I actually had to leave Florida because there was an incident that happened when I was 17 that basically the cops raided it was my mom's crib. They raided my mom's crib and found like 18 guns under my bed.
I'm sorry.
But I've never touched a gun before that.
And this was when you were how old?
I was 17. And the funny thing is, you from New York originally?
Originally the Bronx, yeah.
So the kids that I grew up with out there were all from New York. They were all from the Bronx.
Yeah, troublemakers.
Yeah.
That's why I left.
And I was making beats, so I was like the RZA, you know, and that was my Wu-Tang clan. So we was, you know, we was cooking up in my crib, and you know, so.
Well, before we get to the trials and tribulations, I want to talk about the very beginning. Like, what did Hassan want to be when he was a kid? Like, did you always want to get into music, or was there a different path you had in life?
Probably a Ninja Turtle.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Superman, but it's all good.
Yeah, a Ninja Turtle, and it's funny because like, you know, that was the first time, like, you know. It was like karate, it was pizza, they were rapping. It was like the first time where it was like all these like cultural things were happening at one time. And then like the respect of like Master Splinter, and I always have this correlation of, because I've had the opportunity to meet Rick Rubin, and I feel like Rick Rubin, Master Splinter, and Phil Jackson are all like the same. Like, you know, he's like the same frequency of how you need that calm leader to like lead the, you know, like the Bible even speaks about old men for counsel, young men for war. So so probably a Ninja Turtle.
Okay, I like how you broke it down, like the science behind why that was important to you. Okay, so you ultimately see yourself as like a OG in the game, guiding the youth through, you know, a path of, how can I say, entrepreneurship and leadership eventually and stuff like that. That's what you mean?
Well, I don't, because I just don't care enough, to be honest. Okay. Maybe I will. Maybe in 10 years I will care, and I hope to care. But at the moment, I don't. But I have been blessed with so many mentors that, and you know, you always see like Gary Vee or like, what's the other dude on YouTube? Ty Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
They be talking about mentors, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree with that. I think it is important that there's people who, you know, like the cliche, like see maybe more in you than you even see in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had that problem because I see the most in me.
Of course.
But I'm glad that I've been able to align with certain people that haven't been scared to stand next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when there has been a lot of people that, you know, will in private be like, yo, I fuck with this, yo, I wanna help with this, and but I get it though. It's also like, you know, I am in a lot of ways a liability, and so I can get why it's dangerous for people to want to stand next to someone like so, yeah, just like elusive with how they do things. So yeah, but I pray to maybe be in that position. But I do think that I was like that Raphael Ninja Turtle with like just the temper and the anger and the frustration, and there has been, you know, these splinters that have came in and been like, yo, just, you know, chill.
Where do you think that comes from? You know, all that anger and, you know, I mean, like, I don't know if you've been depressed before or what happened in your life. Well, what do you think happened that conspired those feelings, and how did you overcome them now?
I think it's a lot of things, you know. I think the way we was raised, you know, we wasn't even raised, well, I wasn't even raised to know to drink like a gallon of water a day, or like all simple things like water, you know, our diet, the things that we used to eat growing up.
Did you have both the parents in the house?
Yeah, but you know, my father's from Iraq. My father's born in Baghdad, Iraq, and you know, his father was in the parliament, so he was in the government pre-Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein actually came to their house when my dad was 7 years old, drug him and his 12 brothers and sisters out the house, and decapitated my grandfather, their father, in front of them.
I'm sorry to hear that, dog.
Yeah, and they became political refugees. So they started living with the Kurdish people, and they basically lived in Egypt for 2 years, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan. You know, they were like on the run for like 5-6 years. And so, not saying that has anything to do with it, but what I'm saying is that I've kind of seen how my father, and I love my father so much because he's given me the ability to do so many things, but I see how he has to walk perfectly because he's from Iraq, and like, you know, he's always like, you know, it's almost like they don't even want him to work where he's working. This is in his mind, but I'm just saying this is how it is. Like for Obama, even Obama, it was like he had to walk perfectly because it was like, don't fuck up or it ain't gonna be another black president. So it was like, but when you walk so perfectly, it's hard to change things because you're not comfortable really. You're not getting loose. You like, you know, you uptight and you just walk. You trying to walk a straight line. So my dad, I see him walk that straight line so meticulously. Talk about being on time. Talk about everything being perfect. Man, he is. But a lot of that is fear too. He's been controlled by that fear because it's like, you're not even supposed to be here. We don't even really want you, Iraqi, camel, whatever. Yeah. And so he's having to do that in fear. But he's given me the ability to be American. I'm American, so I don't feel that. I don't feel that same pressure or fear that they try to put on him. So he sees me walking like how I do, and he's like, wait, like, Hassan, like, just color inside the lines. And I'm like, nah, Dad, you don't understand. What you did allowed me to now do whatever I want. You know, so, yeah, so I think there's a little bit of that, and I think it's cool that now the children of the immigrants are, you know, because like we were talking about like the whole Trump situation. I don't think it's so much that people dislike Trump's antics. I think people just don't like that it's coming from an old white guy, and forever old white people have done the worst shit. So if there was a Chinese girl running for president tomorrow and she had the same like antics Trump had, I think people would champion it.
You think so?
Yeah. Maybe not necessarily like some of the things, but like the freeness, the privilege. That's what it is. It's about the privilege of it. And we just don't like it because it's coming from the person that has
the seat at the moment.
Yeah, and they've done the worst shit in American history for the longest. Old white guys.
Yeah.
So, but if it was like a child of an immigrant, like if it was like an Asian girl, but she was American and she was fresh and da da da, and she was just like talking free and being her full self, we wouldn't demonize it. We would actually champion it. We would root it. And this is my opinion.
No, I mean I'm listening to your thing.
So that's how I feel. Being so yeah, maybe there's a little bit of like like I saw kind of how my dad had to walk, and now fuck that. Like we here and we it's a new America. It's there's no more like Marilyn Monroe, James Dean. Now it's it's Kanye and Kim. And it's like that also is a huge breakthrough. You know what I mean? Because now it's like without the Cosby Show, it's like Obama almost can't become president because the Cosby Show allowed America to see like a black family, like a real black family, like with like he was a doctor, she's a lawyer, like it was like respect. It wasn't like no like a lot of shows be just like depicting things in like a wrong way, and I'm hypersensitive.
Like the statistics of that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like hood stuff.
Yeah. Which is cool, yeah. But if there's no other side, like there needs to be like like
yeah, it's nothing to compare it to or nothing above that level that you're showcasing. So I get that, and it is a good light to put on black people. You know what I'm saying? To show them in other sides of the fence, other than just the hood and you know what I'm saying, shit like The Wire and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I love only that. Yeah, I love it too. So do you put like everything that you mentioned that you've been through and your family went through? Do you put that energy into the music? Do you tell these stories? Like, what is your music about?
Not really, but the name of the album is called Sand Nigga. And that's the lead single.
Why you went with that title?
It's funny because so I had this poem, and in the poem it says, "You ain't nothing but a photo bomber, cock blocker, trash talker, name dropper, sand nigga, we the new black. I mean, fuck it, we all African. I'm straight from Iraq, screaming Mesopotamia, first human nation, Mesopotamia, first civilization. Fuck all you racists, be civil in this nation. Fuck you till you free, babe, escape from the Mason." And that poem, I always had it. I just had it. I would always, anytime a show was going bad or the sound was going bad or like we had some technical difficulties, I would just break into an acapella of that, and it would change the room. Not necessarily good, but it would change it. And I felt like it was always my like saving grace. Like it was always like something that I could always pull out of my hat, and it would affect people. And I'm not I don't care about positive or negative energy. I just want energy, period. Because I'm a believer of like karate. Like you can use people's force against them. You can break someone's arm by them pushing up on you. So if you know the tactics of how to use their body weight against them. So I don't care. Like I want all the smoke, negative, positive, because I just don't believe in it. I believe that it's just give me energy, period. And so I had this poem for a long time, and I remember I kicked it to Dame one time, and he was like, "Yo, this is disruptive."
Well, before you get to that part, tell me how did you even meet? Cause wait, who did you meet for? Cause you said you worked with Kanye before, and then you met Dame. How did that happen?
So just like in a nutshell, so I basically interned for Nick Cannon.
Okay.
Originally back in like 2008. And
so he ain't come out with Wild 'N Out yet.
No, it was out.
It was out? Okay.
Yeah, Wildin' Out. Man, people don't realize. I think Wildin' Out started in 05?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because I remember, yeah, 05. Because I remember Ye did Diamonds on there. And he did Brand New or Rhyme Fest on there in 06. So it's been, But, yeah, he was like, I remember, because I had just moved to LA. I was like, yo, this is lit. He was dating like Selena Ebanks. So I'm like, I'm like, oh, this shit, this is like real. He's like, first time I see a Rolls Royce. I love Nick and I love his whole family because they really like took me in and like they took me to my first Magic convention in Vegas. And because he was doing a clothing line called P&B Nation back then.
Oh, that was Nick Cannon's thing? Oh, snap. That's crazy. I used to rock that. Yeah. I didn't even know it was his.
Yeah, Post-No Bills and all that shit.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, so he had a store on Melrose. It was right on Melrose and Gardner where that Johnny Rockets used to be at and shit. And yeah, so I started interning for him, long story short. And through that internship...
Well, how'd you get the internship? Like through college?
So I dropped out of high school. So I
no GED?
No, I don't actually. And my mom's a teacher. So
it's ironic, right?
It's ironic and a lot of arguments.
The internship?
Yes. No, so I literally just came out to LA. I think I was here for like maybe 4 or 5 days. And I just went to Melrose because that's what I heard was the spot to go to, hang out. Yeah. And I'm just talking to some cats on the corner, and then all of a sudden I see a Phantom pull up. I see a Rolls Royce Phantom pull up. I'm like, oh shit! Like, I'm from Florida. Like, ain't shit like
we don't
that.
See this every day.
That shit ain't right. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, that's Nick Cannon's bitch ass. Like, Damn. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, and they're like, yeah, man, don't go over there. You're gonna look like a groupie. Yeah, whatever. And I was like, man, I don't even know y'all. Yeah, I was like, and I got beats in my backpack right now. I'm about to go playing for Nick Cannon. And they were on some like, yo, if you go over there, man, you a sucker, don't come back over here. And I'm like, okay, I don't know y'all. And where am I coming back to? The fucking
like y'all anyway.
Yeah, to the stoop, like to the block. I don't give a fuck. I go to the next one. Yeah. So I walked up and he was out there and there were some girls trying to get a picture. And I think I just like, right place, right time. I might have did something funny.
You ain't bum rush the girls now, did you?
Excuse me, bitch. No. I was just hanging around.
Shit, I would have. Fuck that opportunity, baby.
I was just hanging around, and then I think he was like, "Yo, can you take this picture?" Because the girls wanted a picture, and then I think I took the picture. I might have said something funny or did something funny, and then he kind of acknowledged it, but that was it. It wasn't like. He acknowledged that there was something about me, and then pause. And then,
now you got 3-second window.
Yeah. and then his driver and bodyguard had the same name as me. So I met him and we started talking, and he was really cool. And long story short, I convinced him to put the beat CD in the Phantom. So he starts playing the beats, and he's like, "Yo, these beats are awesome, man! Like, I gotta play these for Boss, for Nick." And I'm like, "Man, yo, you think so?" And we're listening to him in the car, and it's like sounding good, cause the speakers in the car be like,
they tell you everything.
Yeah, it's good. It was good. It was like, so. And this actually goes back to what we were talking about off the camera. But so then he's like, all right, I'm going to go in the store. Because he had just opened a P&B store. That's what he was parked in front of. So he's like, let's go in the store and let's try to play the beats. We go in, and he plays them in the store. And I don't know if, like, the mix sounded different in the store or whatever. But, like, he was like, yo, Nick, these are his beats, blah, blah, blah. And then I just remember Nick looking at me, not saying a word, and then walking off. And I was like, oh, man.
Did you think he hated the beats at that point?
I thought it was like grand opening, grand closing. I was like, man, I thought I was just about to like,
oh man,
be on.
All your hopes, all your dreams,
I thought I was about to be on.
Down the drain.
And then it just went to like feel like the worst you could ever feel.
Yeah.
And so we walked out. And then about 10 minutes later, he walked back out and he was like, "Hey, yo, I like you, man. You should come back tomorrow and start interning." And I was like, "Oh man, okay, no, yeah, for sure." And then actually he brought his brothers. That he has 3 brothers. He brought them all down and was like, "Yo, you need to meet this kid. There's something about this kid." And yeah, and his brothers now are still like, that's like my family, and I love Nick. I actually just saw Nick because he came by Dame's a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how he's gonna start doing the Dr. Sebi documentary, where what Nipsey was doing. And
so he's still doing that? I saw something online about him getting death threats and he canceled it.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of death threats.
Also, that was real.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of heat. Well, people think that the government killed Nip because of the Dr. Sebi, you know. So who knows? But I'm just saying that's what the thing is. But you know, Nick also suffers a lot from lupus.
Yeah.
So he the stuff Sebi showed him really helped with his lupus. So he was like, "Yo, I don't care. People can kill me. Like, this dude saved my life.
Right.
Like, this needs to be, you know, out."
And so
even
like natural remedies as well. Like,
yeah,
that pharmaceutical
nah,
stuff.
the thing about Dr. Sebi is that he actually, when he cures people, because you know people say, you know, the thing is that he like cured Magic Johnson of AIDS. He cured people with cancer. Like, he did all this stuff. But when he cures people, he says, "I didn't cure you. Nature cured you. All I did was bring you back to nature."
Right.
And so, but also another good brother, you know, a good brother and a good friend of mine is a cat named Brother Polite. Who's a good friend of mine.
I remember him. He was a rapper, right? At one point.
I'm not sure, but he's like a life coach. He's like Floyd Mayweather's life coach. Okay. And like
cause I heard that name like even in the '90s. I heard like Brother Polite.
I think Jay might have said his. I think people used to like say reference him, because he's like really like, this dude's like GOAT level information.
Like a guru.
He actually came last Saturday to my show, and we did a roundtable discussion talking about Sand Nigga, because I was getting so much heat from it. Talib Kweli called me and was like, "Yo, I fuck with you, Hassan. I like the record, but you about to get a lot of heat. Let me equip you with the information." And I said, "Talib, I appreciate this." And we had a conversation. And but I was like, man, people need to hear this. I shouldn't be the only one learning all this, because I learned a lot from my time with Talib. And so when I spoke to Polite has spent time in Jerusalem, spent time in Africa. Like, this dude's like a scholar. Yeah. And so when I was talking to him, I was like, "Yo, would you be down to just like do this on camera, like at my show?" Because, you know, I think people need to hear this. People need to also hear a perspective from someone that they respect, you know, especially in the Black community. And because it just needs to be talked about. Because if the highlight of Sand Nigga is like, you know, we do have a clip of Kanye saying he wants to be on the record. But if that's the highlight,
we're gonna put that in.
If that's the highlight, and if Dame dancing to it is the highlight, which I love so much. But if those are the highlights of Sand Nigga, we failed. We failed as a Dame even fails standing next to me, because it needs to be talked about. It needs to be questioned until proven. Right. So if you have any animosity towards it, or you feel any way, come to one of the shows on Saturday, and we'll have a round table. We'll talk about it, and we're polite. It was beautiful because
this happens every Saturday.
I do it every Saturday. Yeah. Basically, Dame just gave me the keys to the gallery. He was like, "Yo, do your thing," and I was like, "All right." He was like, "You should do a residency once a week. Just, you know, do it." And we've been doing it, and it's been a pretty good turnout every week. And I appreciate everybody who's coming and just like vibing. Yeah. And I'm just rehearsing with the band. I'm practicing in front of everybody.
As you should.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because we were talking about like performance art, and there was this girl that was there the other night, and she's in the music business. She's doing something with Sony, and she was talking to me about distribution, and I was like, I was like, we had a rough show, and she was like, "Nah, I loved the fact that you didn't see the performance, but you know, I almost go into this like character, but I almost like staying in the character, so you don't even know when I'm doing the character or not. It's like performance art. It's like Andy Kaufman, like what Ye just referenced in the Letterman thing, is we've talked about that a lot. Is like you know, he joked around as being a wrestler, and then he literally became a wrestler.
Right.
He broke his arm.
Yeah.
Wrestling because he became it. Like, it's like some Heath Ledger shit with the Joker. Like, he really became the Joker.
And he like embodied that.
And for me, it's hard because I've never drank or did a drug in my life.
Congratulations. I don't see how the hell you did that in Florida, man. I did the most drugs in Florida. Jesus Christ. I was like, it's too hot.
Right. But for me,
to get you, boy, so.
Right. But for me, the reason why I've never drank or did drugs is because I don't understand like middle ground. In that same way of the Andy Kaufman Heath Ledger thing, like when I'm in it, I'm in it. It's either 0 or 100. Like, I don't even understand like
a little bit.
Yeah. I just don't. Like, I have a super like locked in addictive personality.
Oh yeah, well stay away from the narcotics and the drinks, cause
the strippers is enough.
Yeah, you already know.
I'm broke.
Oh man, too many stories, man. We'll talk about that off camera. Okay. But that's what it is, man. So tell me, before we get into the whole Kanye and Dame introduction, I want to talk more about that Sand nigga, because that's pretty interesting right there. And as far as the backlash that you think you might receive or you have received already, you know, I'm curious, you know, what kind of backlash do you receive? Like, is it more so of, why are you saying this word and you're not of our color? Or, you know, like, what type of, I guess, backlash are you getting from that?
Yeah, and that's the awesome thing. I know there's direct questions, but it's a lot of just streams, so like, I might just connect certain things. Yeah, but that's the one cool thing about having the blessing of being around Kanye, is because I get to see firsthand the master of backlash. Like, you know, I see how he swims through backlash. He, you know, he backstrokes, like he's relaxing through the backlash. And again, I don't want to do things just to be disruptive. And I don't, even though I think Dame enjoys that part of it, and I do too. I think it's important to be disruptive, but disruptive with a cause. Purpose. You know, and so yeah, I think that just off the initial, I think for people, it's like, wait a minute, you got Dame, and he's talking this culture vultures thing, and he's standing next to this dude saying this record. So for me, the reason why I love that is because he knows how much I am the culture, and how much I care about the culture. And it's like, yo, how you gonna call me a culture vulture? I'm standing next to the dude that coined the term. So it's like, you need to understand, but that also doesn't mean that you can't ask the question, and it doesn't mean that, like I said, questioning until proven. I'm for it. And I've had a lot of good and bad. Like, there was a kid in Afghanistan that hit me up on Instagram and was like, yo, thank you for this record. You're like a inspiration to me. He lives in Afghanistan. He's 14 years old, and he's like, yo, I feel empowered by this record.
That's
like, the fact that I'm seeing an Arabic kid who's still American, though, and cool with American people, but representing, you know, the Middle East, I think it just empowers people. And so I've gotten a lot of that, which is beautiful and awesome. And then I've also gotten a lot of just like, yeah, like, yo, why are you calling it that? Why are you saying that? The funny thing is, they're only seeing the title, and the title is just jarring. Saying nigga is a lot. So they're not even getting to the lyrics. They're not even hearing that I'm saying we're all from Africa. I'm really, here's also an ironic part. I didn't write the record. So, but the reason why I love not writing it, but still being the poster of it, because the Bible is Jesus' album. He didn't write none of it. No, I know. The Gospel according to Luke, the Gospel according to Paul, but it's still his album. So, yeah, Sand Nigga is mine. Only I can do it. No one else who helped write that record could perform it. That's the irony of it. Only I could. And I noticed that when Rhymefest wrote this line for Ye a couple years ago. He wrote this line, R. Kelly and the God of Rap, shitting on you, holy crap. And I love that line, and I was like, yeah, Rhymefest came up with it, but he can't say it.
Not like Kanye.
Oh, no, it's not even how. He can't. He not the God of rap. So
he did rap at one point, right?
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, it was that.
You know, it's like, and
he's that one joint brand new.
You know he beat Eminem in a rap battle. He's actually the only person to ever beat Eminem in a rap battle.
Yeah, but I think Eminem beating him at life, and that's the ultimate battle.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
No, I agree. And I actually have beef with Ron Fest a little bit, but I mean, I love Ron Fest, but maybe we shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But I love you, Ron Fest. Mm-hmm. But I would appreciate a phone call. But yeah, like that line, I love that line. It's a genius line, and he's an amazing writer. And that line, but that made me realize, like, wow, who's more important, the writer or the person who actually can say it? You know what I mean? Like, imagine if someone said they wrote that J line, got the hottest chick in the game wearing my chain. That's right. Oh, even if he didn't write that, at that moment, he was the only human being that could say that line, and it was accurate. Because he was dating Beyonce.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm correlating all that to go back to saying, nigga, as far as like, there were 7 people that helped me write the record. But in that moment, they were disciples. They saw point of views that even I couldn't see. You know, the 12 disciples were almost like the first film crew because it was 12 different angles of his life that he couldn't even see. So it was like, he was like the first Keep It Up with Kardashians. Like, he had a film crew, and he was dating Mary Magdalene, like the prostitute of the neighborhood. Like, he was lit. Yeah. It was like...
This is going to bring Kardashian stock all the way up. You just compared God to the Kardashians. That's amazing, but keep going.
Well, it's like, but it's also ironic because people always say Kim and Kanye shouldn't be together. Like, what do they have in common? If you think about it, Kanye was the first reality star rapper. And the way I say that, the reason why I say that is because go look at his first music video, Through the Wire. It was a reality show. Yeah. It was a video of him, home video of him hanging out with rappers. Yeah. And it was the first time we ever saw Jay-Z vulnerable. The first time we ever saw Jay not in a, like, and the first time we ever heard Jay vulnerable was on Last Call. The last song on College Dropout, when he's laughing, you know, when it starts with him laughing, oh, yo, Kanye, you made me do this shit, made me kick everybody out the room. That was the first time we ever, I kind of sounded like Jay right there. The vulnerability was so amazing, and that's what he was so genius at, to take this person who was God level, we never saw, like, in any way except for how he wants you to see him, and he brought him, like, to human level just for a second. Even if it was a millisecond. So if you go back and watch that Through the Wire video, it was like the first reality show. So they're actually, you know, very similar in that way. But yeah, so that's how I look at saying nigga.
Got it. Okay. Well, no, I understood. I knew you. I'm glad you set me up for it. Like, I'm gonna say this, that, and the third, but it's gonna lead back to this in a minute. And I'm like, all right, cool. But that's what it did. So you said you were producing beats for Kanye. That's how you kind of got your start in the game. I mean, after the internship with Nick. Yeah. Right. So what tracks were you responsible for with the whole Kanye project?
So for me, you know, I kind of got introduced to the whole thing through a cat named Malik Youssef, who is...
Okay. I seen that name floating around.
Yeah, so he kind of like was a first mentor for me. And he actually introduced me to Kanye the first time 2 days after the Taylor Swift incident.
Okay.
So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And that's when I first met him. And actually that's the day that Bink had brought the beat for Devil in a New Dress. Okay. He actually brought the beats for Tony Williams, who's Kanye's cousin, who's an amazing singer and is singing on a bunch of Kanye songs that people don't even know. But and yeah, in that batch of beats was Devil in a New Dress. But yeah, and so I just kind of from that first time meeting him back in 2009, I kind of just hung around, man. I just tried to figure out where I could fit in and where I could hang out. You know, I paid for my own flight to New York during Yeezus. I was like, man, as long as I get that address, I'll pay for the flight. I'll sleep on the floor. I don't give a fuck. Like, just to be able to be in the room.
Just get me there.
Yeah, like shit. And I paid for the flight, I think like damn near the day of. And it was like, you know, it was like $1,000 ticket or some shit. And I might have had like $1,200 at the, you know what I mean? It's like, yo, I gotta figure this out. So, but it was awesome because it's the first time I got to really see an album process and just kind of hang around and, you know, got to build my relationship with Anthony Kilhoffer, who has been an engineer and producer with Kanye since the beginning, and Saha the Prince.
Yeah.
Who
I like Saha.
Yeah, he ended up doing he was like one of the first people to do a song with me, so appreciate Saha for that. But all through that, I just, you know, Rhymefest, listened to my album. He was the first person to like take me serious as an artist, so I do love Rhymefest. And really had conversations with me too. And you know, and this is dude who wrote Jesus Walks. You know, he wrote New Slaves. Like this dude is like amazing lyricist. And you know, I remember we went to like lunch together, and he was like talking to me about my album, and I was just so happy at that time, you know, to have anyone respect me as an artist, because I was just really, a lot of times at that moment it was like service position, like, yo, come here, play some beats, you know, if we like it we'll change it up, or just do as you're told.
Right. It's almost how Kanye came in the game as a producer. He really wanted to be an artist, but everybody was like, yeah, just give me beats, give me beats. Yeah.
And like I said, at that time I was just happy to be sitting in the room. So, you know, Alfonso Bentley, who also was a big supporter of me too. Like,
yeah, that's my man, I know.
Yeah, I love Derek. He's a really good dude. But like, so kind of just stuck around through that. And then started getting managed by a guy named Che Pope, who was running Good Music. He was basically president of Good Music before Pusha. He started managing me. They started this thing called Good Music Management. I was involved in that. They built a studio out here in North Hollywood called No Name Studio. Was working out of there a lot. And yeah, just producing. I actually recorded majority of my album that we're going to be putting out at No Name.
Okay.
Secretly.
Okay.
It was the Good Music Studio.
Right.
And I was usually there to work, like I was working on Tiana stuff. And I love Tiana, and I still would love for those songs to come out. But yeah, I would be working on Tiana stuff, or you know, just whatever was going on. And but then like 3 a.m, when everyone was gone and it was just me and the studio runner, you know, he was just happy to be able to press record because he wanted to be an engineer and not a studio runner. So I was like, hey, you wanna engineer me?
Yeah.
And so I appreciate also Che for that, because he knew and would always like let me, you know, because he believed in me, and I respect Che for that so much. And he's a legend. You know, he produced Miseducation for Lauryn Hill. He produced
classic album, man.
Yeah, he produced Bound 2 on Yeezus. He produced, you know, this dude's an ill producer.
Word.
So shout out to Che for that. And yeah, so just sticking around and just being around, kind of, you know, being around doing Pablo, you know, giving the 2 cents on Ultralight Beam, and, you know, seeing how all that came about within, you know, a week, basically. Like, you know, just seeing seeing how, you know, I think because of fashion, I think Ye took on this concept of like, you know, when girls are going out to the runway, it's like, hurry up, pin this, pin that, hurry, they're walking out, we got 30 seconds, this doesn't fit, tape it, cut this. That manicness of the runway, like, I think he took over into music. And he was like, yo, we got 7 days, I already announced the album, we gotta finish everything, we gotta, you know, and that energy of,
that sense of urgency.
Yeah. So that was interesting too, seeing that during Pablo. Like, literally, I'm listening to Ultralight Beam and working on stuff, and like the Madison Square Garden show was literally like the next morning, and we're like sending back and forth things and stuff.
So with that process that you see him go through and the high intensity he has and the sense of urgency, did you take things of that and apply it to your work ethic?
Yeah.
I'm about to say, as you should.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think a lot of times people who are helping me now, aren't necessarily used to that type of, it's funny because like, that's kind of how I felt initially with even me and Dame. I'd be like, yo, why are you speaking to me like that? You know what I mean? Because we come, where I come from, I don't come from anything. My father doesn't own anything. I don't come from parents who own, right? So I don't even have a mentality of an owner because I don't know anyone who's an owner.
Right.
So when I speak to owners,
conversation's different.
The conversation's different, but I'm not aware of it. So I'm thinking you talking to me in a disrespectful way, and I'm ready to fight because I'm like, yo, who's you talking to? But it's not that he's talking disrespectful. It's that he has 96 employees. And he, not specifically Dame, I'm just saying an owner.
Yeah.
He don't have time to speak to everybody in like the most cordial way.
Right.
Not that he has to be disrespectful, but it has to be direct.
Right.
And it has to be on time. Like, what we was talking about.
Yeah.
And so there's a dude named Nick who works at a clothing factory, and he supplies me with a lot of merch. And I love him because he was one of the first people too that would speak to me in that way. And I'm like, yo, like, what's the deal? And I'd get emotional over nothing. It's like, but I had to understand he's an owner. He's a business owner, and same with Dame. And so I think the people that I work with now, sometimes they're like, oh, here comes Steve Jobs yelling at us. And I'm like, don't look at it like that. Look at it like, don't be so emotional about it, because I'm trying to tell them that I understand. Yeah. I'm going through the same thing just with these people.
Right.
So I'm trying to have empathy and understanding of like, yo, my bad. I know I could have maybe said this better, but it's a lot going on. Yeah. The way I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to 11 other people just for this little thing we're doing. But I'm trying to have understanding because of these people doing it to me. So I'm like, but so there is a little bit of the master splinter bleeding into it, like we were saying. So maybe I am taking these things that I'm learning from these people and trying to show the people that are helping me now that same understanding and empathy.
Right.
So, and that's also why I think people don't like Trump, because Trump speaks like a business owner. And most people in America don't own businesses. So they think that he's talking disrespectfully, but he's really just talking sounds like business to me.
Did you vote for Trump?
No, I didn't. But
did you vote?
No, I didn't. Okay. But I just think politics is dead. Like I don't think, Elon Musk is my president. I don't even believe that politics has the same power that it once had. There's no more thumb. There's no more I don't believe that there's the boogeyman.
I mean, I feel you on that, man. I disagree though. I think power is power, and they have it even if we don't see it. You know what I'm saying? It's there. We can live freely. We can dress how we want. We can stay up until all hours of the night. But when it comes to that law and the power, if they want something to happen, it's gonna happen. And if we're not seeing it, that don't mean it ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? We just in our own, consuming our own world, and that's how they maintain power, through our distractions. In my opinion, I could be wrong, I could be right. I could be saying some shit that's gonna get me shot when I walk out the room. But it is what it is. But
they'll probably shoot me first.
Right. Well, I just jump behind you. It's all good.
Well, here's the thing. The beautiful thing about what you just said is we have the right to be wrong.
Exactly. That's what it is, man. So where you foresee yourself taking this career? Because now you close to Dame, you close to Kanye, you about to drop the project. What's the goal for you when you drop? Are you trying to kind of impress the people that you have around you to where they can take you to a higher position? what's those goals? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a sense of like trying to prove. A lot of times I think when you're told no so long, you want to prove people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But now that there are people who do believe, you want to prove people right. And my focus has been more about proving people right than proving people wrong now.
Right.
Which helps me work better.
Exactly. Those people, the other people, they don't even matter. They don't exist.
Yeah. And yeah, so there is a sense of
Want to prove yourself.
wanting to kind of like I said, like okay, these people stood next to the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way it's going to work, it's not going to work from me putting out the album and we charting with Drake and Travis Scott. That ain't what this is. This has to be. It's funny because like I think about like people always talk about cults, and I'm really excited about this Tarantino film that's about to come out, and I know he touches on the Charlie Manson in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like people talk about cults being a negative thing, but I'm sure back in the day, to reference Jesus again, I'm sure that was considered a cult at the time.
Possibly.
Just like a lot of things that we look at as like American amazing things that we did, like the Boston Tea Party or something like that. Really, that was a terrorist act that we committed.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of things that we like hail as like things that we did good in other people's shoes or perspective is like a terrorist act or something like that. So, and I don't know if that's completely accurate of what I just said about Boston Tea Party. I don't have the information, but I'm just saying like you can imagine, even go ask the Indians, like go ask Pocahontas like what she feels about, So, I'm saying that to say that I feel like it's almost more like a religion of people. Like, Kanye said this thing where he was like, if you're a fan of me, you're not a fan of me, you're a fan of yourself. He was like, I just make music for like the self-esteem, for you to like be a better you. So for me, I don't think I do that, but I think songs like Sand Nigga, I think, things that I say in certain songs, like Why Do I Get Jealous of God on Sunday, some of these like thought-provoking things, if they aren't discussed in formats like this, which I appreciate this a lot, because if I'm not documented, like speaking, we're gonna lose. Because it's a very important part of this, like the messaging of it, and the dialogue, and not just the diatribe. Like it can't just be me in front of a camera talking to Instagram people every day, which I probably should do too. But I just don't think I.
It should be more of you.
But it needs to be a dialogue. Yeah. There needs to be, So, yeah, I think there needs to be a messaging, and there needs to be a sense of education and information through whatever we do artistically, and it should feel more like Andy Warhol. Like that's why I like doing the things at the gallery every weekend, because it's like I watched this documentary on Andy Warhol, and he used to have this place called. You remember what it was called? The 14th Factory, I think it was called, Factory 14 or something like that, back in the day. And it was the first spot that like Basquiat came. It was the first spot that like Keith Haring came and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
Warhol was like he was just like the godfather, like holding these underground gallery parties of just culture. And I think that's why Dame likes the fact also that I'm Middle Eastern and I'm speaking from a perspective that hasn't really been spoken from.
Right.
Because it's cultural. This ain't even musical. It's cultural. And like I'd much rather be on like Bill Maher's show than TRL.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
or sleep is for billionaires. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
no, 100%.
You know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this format is really where I, this kind of stuff is what I need to, to be on instead of like rapping on a beat or freestyling or like, yo, spit a freestyle. It's like, all right, that's cool, but like people need to understand this, and I also think that it makes it like a lighter punch, because when people get to know me, and then people are like, oh, well, he's just like a bugged out person, and maybe there's a little satire in it. So maybe you understand the Tarantino-ness of Sand Nigga when you know me. That's why my friends are cool with it, because they're like, oh, he's just like nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you just see it, you almost like, man, who the fuck, why he feel so bold? You know what I mean? But if you get to know me, then you love me. And you're like, oh man, he just, he emotional. He's, and he likes to push buttons, but he does it in a way to where there's still like respect and information.
Right.
But if you don't get that context is all it is. Things like this provide context so that you can, it's like, it's like asking your girl or like meeting a girl and being like, yo, let's go straight to like, anal or something like that. Like, you gotta go on a couple of dates. You gotta you gotta ease into this. So people.
Fuck that! You got 24 hours.
So I think that like more times where people get to hear me talk, these are like dates. These are like going to the movies or going to dinner. And if people get to go to 4 or 5 dinners, then it's like, okay, Sand Nigga ain't as like jarring, you know what I mean? Or like the intro is "fuck you."
Yeah,
you heard that?
Yeah, I heard that. Fuck.
Yeah, so
yeah,
like,
I actually heard that on the. I think Mason Cam rapped on that.
Yeah, Cam. Yeah, Cam, Dame showed me that actually, and Cam is one of my favorite rappers. But I'm like post SDE. So like I'm more like when it was Dipset, like the rebrand. And everything.
Yeah. I actually know what's crazy. That's when I liked Cam at the most. When he was with the Dipset thing, but then after that it kind of like slowed down for me.
Yeah.
But I really liked him on like Confessions of Fire when he was rapping fast.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
You know who was actually supposed to come here today? Is Duke the God.
Oh yeah, the producer. Yeah. Come where? Here?
He was gonna come with me. Yeah.
Ah man, that would have been great. That would have been two for one.
Yeah. Because he called me literally as I was on the way over here, and I was like, "Yo, I'm about to go do this podcast. If you wanna like." And the funny thing about him, I haven't seen him in years. But the funny thing is, he's the first person to ever pick a beat from me and gave it to Cam. I don't know if you know this song called "Still the Reason."
I think so.
It came out in 2009 after his long hiatus. It was
on
the first song.
I think
it was the first song he put out. And Kanye, back when he had the University.
That was your beat?
That was my beat.
Ooh.
And Duke the God used to be calling me.
That beat
I got the instrumental.
Yeah.
So it's ironic that 10 years ago, Duke picked that beat for Cam, and then now to be working with Dame and shit, it's all so surreal. And I remember the way I heard the record, Kanye posted it on his website. He used to have a blog back then, Kanye University and stuff like that. And that's how I heard the record. They didn't even tell me they was putting the record out.
Wow.
I literally go on Kanye's blog, because that's what I used to do every day. And it said, "New Cameron, I love this joint." And it was that joint.
Wow, congratulations on that.
And that's before I even had met Ye. This was, early 2009.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Once the album comes out, and just in 5 years from today, from this point, where do you see yourself like in business, in your personal life? Where does Hassan see himself in 5 years?
Yeah, I think, it's funny. That's a very difficult question for me because, like, there's so many moving parts. It's almost like Instagram barely existed. You know, it's like 5 years ago, you know what I mean? Or like, so many moving parts. I think who knows, maybe 5-10 years, they might even start allowing like cursing in school. You know what I mean? Like, so there's so many things that, that you don't really control, and that just the moving parts. So I'm not really sure, but I do know that I pray that it's basically somewhat the same of what I'm doing, just more evolved and more support and more infrastructure. You know, I went to church yesterday, and the whole thing was about how God brings order before he brings the blessing. And it was so important to hear that, because it was, you know, it's something about order. It's something, you know, he won't even bless you unless he knows you're prepared and in order.
Right.
Like, it's like, I can't bless you, bro. You'll die with this blessing. Like, you'll literally, like, if I strike you with this blessing of thunder, you can't handle it. You literally fall over from the power of it, because you're not even equipped. You're not physically equipped. That's why it's important to, like, go to the gym, play basketball. I try to play basketball every morning, just like, which also helps with depression. You touched on that in the beginning. I just wanted to touch on that, because I don't really deal with depression. I just deal with, like, anxiety, because
well, we all do.
Yeah.
You know, especially for artists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I deal with, like, you know, I get real anxiety when we're not talking about, you know, the future. Like, for me, it's like hard to shoot the breeze and be like, yo, what's the weather like? It's like, I can't do it. Like, I just, you know, that gives me anxiety. But, because we don't have a lot of time.
Right. Yeah.
But the goal.
God and the blessing.
You gotta be prepared, and you gotta have order. So I think the best thing that you can do is do your best to lay your foundation constantly, and lay your grounding, and you know, and do your best to choose your 12 disciples, and hopefully you choose the right 12 to tell the story about you when you're gone, because it's more important that the story is told accurately when you're not here to tell it anymore. And, you know, it's funny, there's this girl that I dated for like 7 years, and I actually proposed to her 3 separate times. She has 3 different rings. She's like LeBron.
Oh my God.
And
I would have got the rings back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, she deserved it.
Okay.
I love her, and you know, she's even with someone else now, and I still love her. I think certain girls deserve 2 people to love them, but that's another conversation. But the reason why I can't stop having her in my life, and her mom is like my mom at this point. You know, I love her mom, and I speak to her every day. But the reason why she's so important, it's such a selfish reason, because it's like, you know, remember the LeBron ads, Witness? Like,
I think so.
Like, witness greatness and shit like that.
Yeah.
People who've been in your life a long time are that. They're witnesses.
Okay.
She's really a disciple. She saw me say that I'm going to go do these things, and actually saw them happen. She was there before, during, and currently can still see that. That is important, to have witnesses, and that's why we hold on to even quote unquote negative relationships for a long time.
Yeah.
I think, because I think it's very like a selfish thing. Like, nah, you need to like be like a apostle of this. Like, so for me, I pray that I choose the right 12, and I pray that I choose people that are equally yoked. The Bible also speaks about being equally yoked, and I find it very interesting that the Bible also, God compares us to the 2 stupidest animals on the planet: sheep and ox. An ox is so stupid that an ox will go left its whole life. It will go in a circle, because it can only go left.
Right.
It can't go right. It only goes left. And then this one can only go right. And it will go in a circle his whole life until they die. Until they tip over, they will just walk in a circle.
Yeah.
So the farmer will take these 2, tie them together, and now they walk straight. And they can carry the the farming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What am I trying to say? The feed.
I mean, it could be a month.
Yeah.
All that. The food.
So now they can walk straight,
Mm-hmm.
and they're equally yoked. And it's funny that the Bible compares us to ox and to sheep. And so yeah, I pray that I can unite with people who are also equally yoked. And that's why I love that my brother Joseph came today, just like to vibe and support and like give energy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been, the past like 2 weeks we just been vibing. And it's very important for me because a lot of times I'm more of just like sometimes I just am like a computer, but if I don't have the right people like typing the data and the coding,
mm-hmm.
then I'm really useless.
Yeah.
So the coding of things is also vital for like R2D2 to like be able to like okay, that's what it is. Let me do it in 3D now. But like if you don't have the coding, you can be useless, So
that's a fact.
And
mm-hmm.
be okay with being used. Because if you can't be used, you're useless. Just don't get misused or abused. But being used is important because you want to be used.
Right.
You want to be
useful.
Mm-hmm. And if not, you're useless, and nobody wants that. So be okay with that. Just understand, with the.
No, I totally agree. That's a jewel right there you just dropped, and I hope y'all listening, man.
Yeah.
So when's the album expected to drop? Where can people follow you? Tell them all of that.
Yeah, we're working on a couple things. I'm talking to like Warner about possible distribution.
Mm-hmm. Good luck with that, by the way.
Man, thank you.
That's a big thing right there.
I just did a publishing deal with them, so I'm happy about that, and I love everybody up there. Shout out to Ryan Press and everyone over there. So now I'm just trying to figure out how to take the producer, songwriting, publishing deal now to the next level. I'm like, look, y'all already in business with me.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all already getting, 50% of my, it's like, now let's just like, so they're helping with a lot of ideas. Talking to a couple different people. I know me and Dame have been talking to Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that because I really like what Empire did with Tyga's last record. Yeah. They really brought him back to like...
Yeah, he went gold the same day he dropped, right?
Yeah, and that was through Empire. And that song that he had with Offset last year.
Yeah, that was the number one song.
Brought him back. Yeah. And they did a really good job at doing that. And I think the dude who runs everything at Empire is a dude named Ghazi. And I think he's Middle Eastern. I think he's Arabic.
Oh, that shit in right there.
Yeah, so I think that could also be interesting to where maybe even if we can start doing shows in Dubai and stuff like that, like that's probably my goal too,
like
is to
Middle Eastern tour kind of thing. Yeah.
Like maybe I'm not even supposed to do shows in America. Maybe I'm supposed to just like go straight to the joint.
Bro, you could be like the next like Hove over there.
Yeah, that's what I told Dame. I was like, yo, Dame, we missing it. I need to just ride it on a camel.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
I'm telling you,
do a remix
and all
do
that,
a remix with MIA.
Yeah.
Shout out to MIA. We need to do the Sand Nigga remix. Me, you, and Kanye. That would be that could be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like so, we're just talking to a couple different people, and I appreciate Dame so much because he's a master of this business and he's a master of business. But still with a heart of an artist.
Right.
He's like his mind is so business, but his heart is so pure. And it's been so pure for so long that he's actually risked his, he's risked it all.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like think, and I'm like, he's risked it all for his truth. And, that's awesome because that's what I'm about.
Yeah.
I'm about literally like, I'll be in meetings. Like at that Warner meeting, I played a bunch of records before I played Sand Nigga, and they were like, "Yo, this is awesome. We could take you up to Apple Music. We'll put you in a playlist." It was all going good, and then as soon as I played Sand Nigga, they were like, "Oh, whoa, we might need to refigure some things out." And I left that meeting for the first time in my life, like, man, am I a masochist? Do I purposely make things difficult on myself? And I said, I do. And maybe I am a little bit of a masochist. And I said, I do like pain because it's almost like playing NBA 2K on expert. If you win not on expert, you almost feel like you didn't win.
Yeah.
It's like you want to put it on the highest level. You know, your boy be like, man, that wasn't on expert. That don't count.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play life on expert. And if I know that I can beat it on that, you know, it's like, what can you say to me? Exactly. I don't want to just get in on some like, oh man, he got some cool Post Malone, Drake style songs. We could put him in this playlist. Like, that's cool, and I love Post Malone, I love Drake, and I would, and I do have songs like that, but that ain't all of me. And if I lie just to like, you know, get in a position, the real me gonna come out at some point.
Right.
And that would be wrong of me to not give you the all of me in the beginning. And you know, that's cool. You know, we've waited this long. It's like there's enough people that are in alliance that love the real me that I'm not forced to do what my dad had to do. I don't gotta walk perfectly. I don't gotta hide who I am just to make sure I get the job. Like, he did that so that, you know, so I can be the full, you know. So.
Nah, that's what it is, bro. Well, I'm excited to hear your album. You know, I hope you put a lot of your knowledge and your history into these records, because I think that's what the people need to hear, and that's going to bring your truth to the light, you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to hear that side of you more than anything. Where can the people follow you and keep in touch?
Just at Hassan Thank God on Instagram. That's like the main thing that I'm on. And then just Dame Dash Studios.
Is that open to the public?
That's open, yeah. You can download the app. It's on like all TVs now. The same way you, I guess, get Netflix and everything now. He's got Dame Dash Studios on everything. Yeah. So you can start a free trial, and a lot of my stuff is up there. He's got a whole Hassan section for me on there.
Nice.
And I appreciate it, and it's really cool. Like, I'm starting to see how it works. And that's the thing too. I do want to say this, just if I could. I do want to say this to people who want to like be like, I ain't signing up for no Dame Dash thing just to listen to your music. First of all, aside from me, right? If you care about me, then you should do it to listen to my stuff, because that's the only place you can get my stuff right now is on his thing. So that's me. Let me get out the way. Other than that, if you care about hip hop at all, if hip hop affected you, if anything, if Kanye ever affected you, if Jay ever affected you, if Aaliyah ever affected you, if you ever wore Rockaware, if you whatever, bro, Dame has done a lot for the culture and a lot for our, specifically us, as like our age group or whatever. Like, he's done so much. So you gonna spend $10 every month for all these other things. You never even met the people of these things. You never even seen the owner of Spotify. You never even seen the owner of Netflix.
They never did nothing for you.
And you never even seen them.
Right.
You don't even know what they look like. And you willing to give all this money to all these other people just because whatever. Oh, but you know, and we get into this programming of like, you know, and I'm not saying, you know, I'm just saying that this is a man that we've seen our whole life. You were raised by these people for good or for bad. There's a lot of bad that they promoted during that time too. So I get that part. But I'm saying is this person did a lot, and this person is still here, and he's still visible, and he's still reachable, and you can still touch him. And you're not gonna support that? Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But, you know, everybody, to each his own. Man,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, I don't want to do a whole public service announcement.
Nah,
it's been on my heart the past couple weeks, because people would hit me and be like, you know, because people are really good at trying to, like, level the conversation. I bet people do it with you because, you know, you got super, like, you know, professional demeanor and you're like, you know, like, business vibes. It's like people try to do things to, like, level the conversation. Like, why you can't just respect somebody? Like, why you always trying to, like, you know, just because you on some bullshit, people be trying to, like, make a joke to, like, you know, oh, that's cute. He got this going on. well, what you got going on? Why are you trying to already diss something just to like level the playing field for the conversation? Like, you know, I don't like that. Anyone I respect, I kiss their feet. I literally got on my knees and kissed Rick Rubin when I saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, this is why, like I respect people when I see them who I love to the utmost, and I just don't know why people can't do that. It's like it's corny.
I think it's just egos, bro. Like people, it's all egos to me, man. Like people don't want to like. It's sad that like there's not too many of people saying, "Yo, I like your music," or "I like you as a person. You my brother. I love you." You know, there's not too many of us brothers saying that to each other because of egos. Like you don't want to. Like even when you met in Cannon and those group of people that don't go over there, you're gonna look like a groupie. You know what I'm saying? Like they worry about what other people thinking, but that shit don't matter. Those people you worrying about, they ain't paying your bills, they ain't putting clothes on your back, food in your stomach. Like none of that shit matters. And all that ego you tripping off, you just fucked up mad opportunities of a bunch of Rolls Royces that pulled up in front of you, and that's probably God sending you opportunity. Like, hey, I'm giving it to you, and then you ain't doing shit with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean. There was a story like that. I'm sure you heard of it with I think there was a guy drowning, and he was like, God help me. And I think boats started passing him by. It's something, am I saying it right?
And he was like, no, God's coming for me.
Right.
And then another boat went by, and he was like, nope, I'm not going on it because God said he's coming for me. And then he died, and he got to heaven, and God was like, and he was like, why you didn't come for me? And he says, I sent 4 boats. That was me.
That's what I'm saying, man. You gotta be open to the blessings, bro. But
I agree, and I want to say on that is just that, I think about how different my life would have been if I listened to them dudes on the stoop.
You would have been on the stoop.
Yeah, I would still been on the stoop, man. It's like,
man, listen, I want to thank you for coming on the show, my brother. This was amazing. I ain't gonna lie, this went completely where I didn't think it was gonna go, but I'm glad it went there. You know what I'm saying? And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sleepers for Billionaires, the podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Vegas. Hassan, stay tuned for his album. Go check him out at Dame Dash Studios every Saturday. He's going to be performing. I ain't going to give out the location, but you got to follow him to get the location. Stay tuned for more episodes to come. Thank you for watching. And we out. Oh, man, cut. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. The live studio audience member.